We've got with us today Corbin Ryland and Jamie Younger. They are part of the Jamie Younger team here at Long & Foster. And Jamie's been in the business
decades.
I think, well, I've known her longer than I've known my wife, and I've got grown kids. So we're going to leave it at that.
A lot of experience in the room.
So, right, all around, how many consecutive years? Well, we probably are hitting in the triple digits with what's in this room.
Oh, yeah.
So Corbin's been working with Jamie for a decade now,
yep.
and just really good knowledge of the local market and a long-term outlook on things. So knowing the ins and outs of real estate, how to negotiate properly for sellers and buyers, super important for folks to have an experienced real estate agent. Who is a great negotiator and also knows the market dynamics and even by neighborhood in pretty much the whole metro area. So thank you for agreeing to come and do this.
Well, thank you for having us.
All right, or me coming to you. Right. So we were talking before the cameras turned on.
Yeah.
We have this kind of perpetual problem in Richmond. A lot of it has to do with the growth that we're seeing here and then just the localities not wanting to zone enough new building lots, so we don't have enough inventory, right?
Yeah,
correct.
So where does that put you as far as, you want to start on the seller side, is your dynamics in selling a house? Because I'm still seeing houses that are sitting for 90 and 100 days, but I will say most of what's coming across my desk is selling in almost a matter of hours. It's not 2022.
Right.
Yeah.
It's almost like COVID, Paul. We're getting close to that where we were during COVID.
I try to tell people you're either going to sell right away or it's going to take a really long time.
And so what do you tell them that I want to make sure I sell right away?
The house has to be right. The right house has to look good for the sale. They do need to do the things. Declutter. We like to have it painted if need be, get it staged. Those are the ones that are selling really quickly.
I've really noticed pretty much everything's been staged.
Buyers want to walk in and have it turnkey. Buyers today really don't want to do a lot of work. So they can go to a house perhaps that needs some work, but then the price is going to reflect that. So if the seller can spend some money up front, maybe they spend 20, but they're going to get back 50.
Right, so it's a great return on the cost.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens, and I doubt you run into this as much as some of the others because you're seasoned and people know your value, where you've got another agent because it's such a seller's market trying to buy a listing and tell them the house should be listed more than you think is a fair market. We know what happens then. Oh, we'll cut the price in 3 weeks. It turns into a fire sale. How do you handle those objections?
With my sellers, I sit down with the sellers and I'm going to give them all the data and we're going to look at all the recent sales and the stats and what makes the most sense to price your house right and hopefully get a bidding war because you did price it right and it looks good and it's ready for sale. And then the marketing that we do a huge amount of marketing, and especially during the coming soon period. We have up to 45 days. So we send out, me, baby boomer here, I still send out snail mail. So we can do postcards to a surrounding area. We'll do magazine, whatever. We'll do a lot of social media. We have one person, Stacy, that will do our marketing for us and send out Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, X. Mm-hmm. Their house is going to get hugely marketed. Mm-hmm. And then when we do go active, hopefully we've got showings set up for the whole weekend.
And then it'll go right away, hopefully, is the plan. Because if it sits, you're going to have to reduce at some point.
Are you into reducing or improving or buying interest rate down? What works?
Sometimes all three. A lot of times, at least, if it's been sitting for 90 days, we'll say, all right, let's temporarily withdraw, paint, do the things that you didn't want to do up front because now you've been sitting and you've been carrying this house and you probably haven't been able to buy a new house or move to the new state or whatever. And so let's paint. We've had sellers do that and they said, oh, I want this price, and we're like, well, you're probably not going to get that, and the whole interior of the house is yellow, and I know you love it that it's yellow, but the younger millennials don't want a yellow interior, and so we'll say, you want to try it, and then let's go back and white walls and produce where it really should have been. And
I love that idea, though, pulling off the market for a bit to do the renovations, so it looks like something's been freshened
and the market always determines the price.
Yes.
If you price it too high, you're going to come down. If you price it too low, they're going to bid it up. So they need our expertise to try to get the sweet spot.
And I think that's so important because I've seen where you price it maybe even on the low side and it gets bid up significantly higher than probably that high end would have been, but you start at that high end and it sits, and then when you start cutting the price, you're getting all these low ball offers and it ends up selling less than. But it's hard to explain sometimes.
Well, and especially with today's market, when even though we've picked up, and we are definitely still in the seller's market, we were saying 1.5 months of inventory, somewhere closer to 6, 5 to 6 would be a normal market. So we're definitely in the Richmond metropolitan area seller's market. I forgot what I was going to tell you. What was I leading to?
I don't know, but days on market, pricing the house right, house is sitting, seller's market.
Well, even though it's a seller's market, the buyers aren't going to buy just.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Compared to COVID, that's what I was going to. That's where I was headed.
They're not going to take anything.
COVID, it was pretty much 20, 30 offers on something coming on the market. It was just crazy. We're a seller's market. It's not COVID, but it's a hot market, and it's a good market for sellers. Right. But they do need. But
as you were saying, buyers want that pristine product.
They want it more pristine now than they did back then.
Well, here you go. So there's a story you remind me of during COVID. I don't want to talk too much, but I'm one of those loan officers who likes to call the listing agent, be proactive. A good agent's going to reach out to me, but I like to call and. Maybe it helps, maybe it doesn't, maybe they don't like me. I don't know the answer. No, they don't like me. But I remember getting, and it's somebody who I knew, and I called her and we've got this great offer, well qualified, they're waiving this. And I got, Paul, I had 27 offers on this house, and what if all 27 loan officers call me?
Oh my God.
And then I just said, I know she was joking a little bit, and I'm like, and did they? So.
No, I only know.
Rarely that they do.
It's pretty rare. I only know a couple.
Does that make a difference, though, to you providing advice to your sellers in multiple offers if they have a realtor you trust on the other side and a lender? I realize internet lenders typically aren't looked at well because what happens 2 days before closing? We've all seen that.
It makes a huge difference, Paul.
Makes a huge difference.
To be a local lender? Absolutely.
Especially when there's multiple offers.
Oh my gosh.
And if there's 2 or 3 that are similar, who the agent is on the other side, we're going to say, hey, I've worked with this person before. They're easy to work with. They will work through it. The lender is a huge thing. I know Paul will close this. No, he put the letter on. Well, it's going to actually close. I might follow up with me before I even have to follow up with you. Whereas a lot of times non-local lenders I have to track them down.
They have a different philosophy of business, right? So it's all about volume and not quality. Yeah. So it's.
And I'll tell our sellers that, and I tell our buyers, hey, they gave you a letter. I don't know that that's gonna get you anywhere.
I had a client last week who we spoke with and collected documentation. One of the spouse's income was a little bit unusual, but we can work with that, and I guess that's where we specialize. And they were looking at new constructions. They had to talk to the builder's lender. And she goes, this is really interesting. And it was a local person. They never asked for a single document from us. They just took our word at what we told them. And she goes, I was a little uncomfortable with that.
Yeah.
So
I've even worked with friends in the last couple of years, and they'll say, oh, I got this other quote and whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, can you get it checked with someone local that you can actually speak to and that I can speak to? And because I know you'll want to close on time too. I don't want to get the phone call 2 days before closing. Oh, we need 18 sets or we just ran your credit report.
There is a local lender who does a lot of volume, is more call center set up.
Yes.
I won't mention any names. And I have picked up a lot of transactions because they have intentions are great, but they have inexperienced people taking the applications, not looking at the full picture. Oh, credit score's X, income's X, we can do the deal. Didn't look at the details behind it. And then typically they don't underwrite the files till a week before closing. And all of a sudden I'm getting a call from the agent. I've got another one of these that can we fix? And I'd say about 50% of them are. Again, intentions are not bad. It's just not.
None of them. It's just.
Well, it's all about service.
Yeah.
It's all about service.
What's the cost of being homeless and having to go stay in a hotel for 2 weeks or a month or losing the house? There's one situation the agent was telling me that they are at day 97 after closing.
Wow.
And the buyers kept putting up non-refundable deposits, and the sellers finally, I can't do this any longer. I need to move on.
Well, and they did it for a quarter, 0.5% difference.
Sometimes it's $200 in closing costs.
And it's for some minimum, whatever it is, it's not worth the stress Our past broker used to say, if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys.
There you
That's
go.
what she said, yeah.
It was
Or maybe did I say it
something
wrong?
close to that.
Right. Well, same thing with you, right? There's discount
We're full
realtors out
service.
there.
You
They don't.
you can do this,
Yeah.
or you can go full service
Yeah.
and know that we have concierge service, and it's going to be white glove all the way through,
Yeah.
and you're going to get to close.
Yeah.
You know, everything's going to run smoothly, rather than an unanswered phone call. And there's nothing worse in our business than not being able to get a response from somebody.
Yeah. So going back to the inventory issue, let's talk about it on your buyer side, right? I know y'all do a lot. You've been in the market forever. You got a massive past client database. I can't even
Yeah.
imagine what the numbers look like. But they have houses to sell, and a lot of times they can't buy the next house either because they need the equity or they can't qualify for multiple loans. And I know, are your sellers at all taking offers that are contingent even with the first right of refusal?
No.
It's very rare. I can't think of the last time we've had one. It's
I had
been a
somebody
long time.
ask to do one,
Yeah, but it's like,
and they just said no.
Yeah. So why would a
The
seller
seller
take that?
just said no.
Right. If you put yourself in
Yeah.
the seller's shoes, right?
They want somebody that's ready to go. Now, what we recommend in the case that you were just referring to is that someone get their house sold and go into temporary housing, so then that they're ready to go on the next house without that contingency.
Well, I'd rather them talk to a lender because we do have products, whether they're a traditional bridge or a buy before you sell program,
Right.
or maybe we borrow against some of their stock portfolio temporarily,
401k or
right?
something.
So sometimes there's a lot of answers to that, and recasting definitely plays a big role in that.
Some people don't want to move twice.
Well, I would pay a lot of money not to move twice.
Yeah.
I would too. There's
What-
a
what
lot
are-
to be said for that.
Right, death, taxes, and moving, right? So I shouldn't say that in our business, but it's not fun. Now, what you get out of moving is much greater than you do from the other two.
That's right. It's just
Yeah.
the stress of doing it. Once you're
Yeah.
there, it's worth it.
So,
It's very rare that somebody will take those first rights right now.
what are some of the fears that you're seeing from your buyers and sellers right now, just about the market? I know we have the golden handcuff issue. We'll get to that in a minute. But what are the other? And they might not be now. They may be always been the question.
I think the biggest fear is probably overpaying.
Yeah.
Because they're going into it knowing there are going to be multiple offers.
Right.
On many properties, not all, but
Right.
many, and most right now, quite frankly.
And then we have some that are looking at popular areas, and so they're waiving things. They'll waive chunks of inspections or things like that, or get a walk and talk. And so occasionally they're afraid of, like, well, what am I going to find once I move in?
Tell us what a walk and talk is.
So a walk and talk is a simplified whole home inspection. So it usually takes about a half an hour. And it's a overview of a home inspection. So we'll do it during a visitation appointment. So they're not checking every breaker. Usually they're not going under the crawl. They might look in the crawl space, but they're not going in the crawl space. They're not really checking the roof. They're just visually checking it. And it's like just an overview to say, like, hey, this house looks like it's in good shape, or hey, this house looks like it's in really awful shape and nobody's taken care of it for the last 50 years. And you are going to have, I do know you're going to have problems down the line. It's give them a peace of mind, but that way the idea being you can possibly waive a whole home inspection on an offer.
Which you almost have to in some of these situations,
Which
right?
is the case. Yeah, so it's a shorter version.
Can you get the inspectors out quickly when you want to look at houses?
We've got a whole list, and yes, so far we've been able to do that. We've got a whole list of inspectors that we work with on a regular basis, and then contractors as well.
Yeah.
We can get a contractor to come out, and the contractor's even above an inspector because they can build a house. They have a
Right.
Class A license, and sometimes you can get those to
I
come
will
out as
say, was it last weekend that you and I were on the phone tracking down an inspector
Oh,
to
yeah.
do a walk and talk on Sunday afternoon?
Was a
Yeah.
little bit
Because
of a
we
challenge.
knew who can you get a hold of first, and like who will
Well,
go
her-
for
you
us.
have
I
relationships.
mean,
Y'all have
that's the
relationships,
key.
yeah.
And I think well, I know in this past weekend, if Jamie hadn't had a relationship, we wouldn't have gotten anybody.
And that person would not have gotten the house because
Yes.
they probably would not have been willing to
Yeah.
waive the home
They-
inspection,
yes, they
and someone
were-
else.
yeah.
We never recommend to waive an inspection without a walk and talk.
Yeah.
All right.
We want them to have that because that's just, if there are just too many hidden things that could come up.
All right.
At least with the walk and talk, you're going to get the structural, the main
things.
expensive issues, items.
So the other thing that I'm seeing waived, and I guess I play a little bit of role in this conversation, unlike the home inspection, is waiving the appraisal, or in some cases waiving financing, but we're doing a loan anyway.
We see that as well.
Yeah.
But they just have to have the money to come up. When somebody's got a large down payment, that's not a problem. If they only have 10% down and they're going to waive the appraisal amount, and I've already pulled the comps, and I think we were really lucky. The last one we had it was $500,000 and paid $550 for it. All the comps were right where it was at $500,000. But again, relationships and pulling in homes
new sales
outside the area and some new construction and an appraiser that's been in the business a long time. Everybody knew what they were doing, and it went through. But he would have had to pull from his 401k or something.
But he had that backup
He
plan.
had that backup. Didn't want to use it.
So did you, in that case, waive the appraisal whole, or did you just waive the $50,000 difference between asking
You
price?
just have to praise the whole thing.
We've done it where we've done, but sellers definitely would rather you waive the whole thing.
It's just like a portion of the inspection. You know, waive up to a certain dollar amount. What offers that go to the top of the pile have waived appraisal and waived inspection, and they have a fair price, good price. That's usually the highest price. It's usually all three, but it's kind of a crazy market, and the people in some other areas aren't seeing that. My sister's been in real estate in Austin, Texas for decades. Their market has turned. It has been turned to, it's definitely buyer's market.
I've got people in my position that I know out there in Austin, and they're definitely seeing price depreciation.
Yes.
And so they have those conversations.
Down.
But long term, I think 10 years, everybody will be safe. Richmond's a little bit of anomaly.
We've always been cushioned.
Especially certain areas like
the city where we
around our office currently.
Yeah, what's the average price per square foot within a half-mile radius of here?
$400 to $500.
Oh, I bet it's higher than that.
It's definitely possible that it's.
I've had some appraisals come in at $800 a square foot around here.
Yeah.
What?
I've had appraisals come in at $800 a square foot around
I believe
here.
it.
Oh, for some big
100%.
houses?
Yeah.
Well, no,
A little.
My best friend lives nearby here, and they're selling for $1 million on tiny houses.
The smaller the house,
Yeah.
the higher price per square foot a lot of
houses,
times, because you still need a kitchen, you still need a roof, you still need a building lot.
Right.
Yeah.
And then did they tear it down?
She has not torn it down yet, but some of the people on her block and have torn them down and done that. I don't think she'll do that, but we've either a giant addition is coming or we'll have to find something at some point.
There was one just recently, well, this was just last week, in the West End off the Gate and Border. And there were 14 offers, and it went inspection, no appraisal, and it went for over 300 foot.
Wow, over there. Wow.
And usually
there,
you're
yeah.
250 a foot in the far West End.
Yeah. Good.
And then you double that when you're in the city, and then something like that.
Right.
So it's just crazy.
It is, and so sometimes I have to wrap my head around it because I'm from here, lived here all my life as to what prices are, but I see the appraisals, I see the sales,
Yeah.
In certain areas too, more so than others, really surprise me.
Yeah.
People want to move, but they're going to get top dollar for theirs. The house will have to pay
Top dollar. So if they're moving down,
then they're in the good seat. If they're moving downsizing, that's a bonus.
well, that's downsizing price. I'm seeing more of downsizing square footage, but not necessarily price. Like people our age, want as much upkeep, and so they're able to buy houses, but they're not any less expensive. And this is where your golden handcuff, less money, right? The less money is where you would benefit, right, from the market.
Downsizing, something that's considerably smaller.
Yeah. I mean, something smaller, you're probably going to pay what you're going to, unfortunately, like this price. And then, run into, but even before that, you run into the golden handcuffs because so many of us have.
And that is, I don't want to leave my 3% mortgage rates, right? And a house is not all financial.
Yeah.
Run out of space. We need to be close to work. We are not enjoying life because we don't want to give up this oddball thing that was such an anomaly during COVID, right?
Yeah.
We're starting to see a little more detachment, but we're definitely running that a lot. I see folks who call me wanting to tap equity. Yes, you could do a second mortgage, but you've got $400,000 in credit card debt at 20-some%.
Yeah.
It makes sense to take a higher rate home equity loan. Yeah, it's cool, with those conversations, but I think it's holding some folks back from moving. I had conversations. I want to turn this into a rental. Can we go with a smaller down payment? Their payments are low, rent market's good. But are you seeing that a lot? And are people stuck in that? Or are they eventually moving?
Some of them are moving. There's a good number, who is on our team, and I both have those handcuffs.
And my son.
Oh, yeah, yours too.
Yeah.
And I think all three of us would probably love to move, but with 3% or sub 3% interest rates, and would of us would have to move to up in size, which greatly increases, even though our houses have all increased in value. What I would have to move to make it worth my while, like just what the prices I know I would be paying, blow my mind.
But is your life suffering from not having make that move in non-financial ways?
Yeah.
I think so.
I had to do a major kitchen renovation that went really bad. In order to, Jamie's laughing, I'm a year into it. Wow. So, yeah.
With growing family, yeah?
With family, living in the house. Thankfully done having kids. So, probably would like a bigger bedroom. Now he's entering his teen years, but it's probably not going to happen. So kids are in where they're having kids, or their kids are little and getting and out of space.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely. So some of those people are just saying, we're done. Like, we won't do it.
Right. They have to move. Sleep next to the kitchen sink, as Lauren says.
Yeah.
Right.
The problem is, though, you got a house that's a little bitty house here in this area for $700,000, and to get bigger, you need to go to about $1 million.
Yeah.
You end up paying so much more on your house payment.
Yeah. And you move away from the city where taxes are lower?
If you want to live there.
Yeah. Right.
Location
Location
is the problem.
Yeah.
The problem, but they don't want to go out. That's ideal if you would stay, the ideal location, and you're willing to go further out. Then you're going to get a little bit more for your money.
We've definitely seen an uptick in renovation loans, whether the conventional type or 203Ks. I haven't seen it so much on the purchase side as we used to see. Are you having folks say, "Hey, I want this house, but I'm going to add to it"? Or
a couple, but not really.
No,
want it
well,
done.
right. And the other issue is the velocity of the market, because we need to have contractor pricing to go into that. So that's also an issue, right?
Yeah.
I get that.
Well,
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier about the baby boomers. I just saw a statistic: 90% of people want to age in place. 90%. That's huge.
That, interestingly enough, brings in reverse mortgages. Sometimes are a right answer to that. They have a nasty name, but sometimes they play a great role for folks. Where the house, because you've built up so much equity in the house.
Right.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, that's the biggest asset. Start paying for you to live and to take care of yourself and do handicap improvements and pay for, that type of thing. But you can do them on purchases too.
And what you had mentioned earlier does make perfect sense. The baby boomers that are in the bigger house, they will have to give up like half their size.
Which they're fine
their
with.
Square footage is okay. It's going to go to half, then they'll spend more. And that's bothers the baby boomers to think that I'm going to spend more to get half the size of the house that I currently have. Guess what? My grandbabies like to come over. I like to have those extra rooms to come.
Yeah.
So just don't move.
Yeah.
I think that's have a huge lack of inventory here. We talked about it. We already say it's like a half sport.
Yeah. But if those people were to move, they're going somewhere, so it's not necessarily going to help the inventory. Maybe at the lower price level, but there really is no low price level.
That's the other thing is there's no low price level for them to go to.
Yeah.
They have a house that's worth $600,000 or $700,000, and they're going to spend $800,000 just to move.
I know, just talking about affordability in general, so it's definitely an
there's
issue.
no.
All right. So what else do you want to talk about? What's good advice for people who are even contemplating? It comes to me a year before they want to buy a house. They never do. It's going to be, I want to buy in an hour. What's advice for somebody who's buying the first house or moving and buying a new house? What's they start?
Sit down and have a buyer consultation, which is what we do in our office. That sit down and go over all the house, especially if it's a first-time home buyer. But I think that there's anybody that really wants to improve their lifestyle, like you mentioned. If it's time to do it, we just need to sit down and look at the numbers.
Things don't have to be perfect yet to have that conversation.
Yeah, no.
I like to stress
Even
that.
if you're just thinking about it, have a conversation with an agent and a lender, like a local lender, like you. And you don't driving around. If you can only afford $300,000, you're not driving around $1 million neighborhood.
That's a setup for disaster all around, because all you see are the certain, and then you're just out of whack. So it doesn't do anybody justice.
Lenders are the number one thing.
You
sit down and go over
that's
the
one
details
of ours.
and hear the houses and what we can But
Yeah.
you have to know what you can afford and what you're comfortable with.
It's a lot of times it's down to that comfort level, not the
It's more-
affordability. Yes, I will
I
say
think
that
that's
most
really
folks, they
important.
don't realize what they can do, but it's the comfort zone.
Like, and what it's going to look like. When they're like, yeah, because especially if they're coming from renting, home is a very different.
I heard a statistic which I thought maybe high, but maybe not when you look at larger improvements like HVAC and roofs. 1% per year for maintenance costs. You know, that's probably a good rule of thumb to use.
Yeah. That sounds right. There is maintenance. I go to list many houses that there's been no maintenance for a long time.
That's when your walking dog comes through, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Decide whether it's the buyer or the seller, because the sellers need to pay attention to things before they put it out there on the market.
Well, thank you for spending time and doing this. Yeah, cool.
you.
Always great
Always nice
agent,
to
great
see you.
folks here.
Yeah.
Thanks.